You're trying to burn fat, but not just any fat. I'm talking about the most dangerous kind of fat in your body, the kind that wraps around your organs, slows your metabolism, spikes inflammation, and keeps you stuck no matter how clean you think you're eating. And here's the big shocker: if you don't target this type of fat correctly, you can diet for months and see almost nothing change. But if you target it the right way, the fat starts dropping faster than you ever thought possible. Today I'm going to show you the #1 fastest way to burn this dangerous fat safely, naturally, and without feeling hungry all day. Before I explain the method, let me tell you why most people keep struggling. They think fat loss is about calories or hours on the treadmill or cutting carbs until they're miserable. But the real issue is hormones, specifically insulin. As long as insulin stays high, your body cannot access stored fat, period. It doesn't matter how few calories you eat or how many steps you take. High insulin locks the door to fat burning, so if you want to get rid of dangerous fat quickly, you have to lower insulin in a strategic, rhythmic way that finally lets your body switch into fat-burning mode. The fastest way to do that is something most people have heard of, but almost everyone does incorrectly. It's called time-restricted eating, sometimes known as intermittent fasting, but I'm going to show you the version that burns fat dramatically faster. Most people believe fasting is about skipping breakfast or avoiding food late at night. That's not where the magic happens. The real power is in shrinking your eating window enough that your insulin finally falls low for long enough to unlock your stored fat. Let me paint a picture of what happens inside your body. When you finish eating a meal, your insulin rises. That's normal. Insulin's job is to store nutrients, including fat. It stays elevated for several hours. But if you graze all day, snack between meals, sip sugary drinks, or constantly break your fast with small bites, your insulin never gets low enough to let fat burning kick in. That's why people go months thinking nothing works. They don't realize their eating pattern keeps their fat-burning switch in the OF position. But here's the moment things change. When you bring your meals closer together, 2 meals a day instead of 3, or 1 meal and a small protein snack, and you stop grazing between meals, insulin finally drops. And when it drops long enough, the body starts tapping into visceral fat first, because your body considers that fat more available during fasting. So the first fat that burns off is actually the most dangerous fat in your midsection. Now, here's where it gets exciting. People think fasting is about starving yourself, but it's really about giving your body space to repair. Once you enter a fasting window of 16 hours, 18 hours, or even 20 hours, your body turns on a deeper metabolic cleanup mode. It repairs the liver, reduces inflammation, stabilizes blood sugars, and resets fat hormones. All of this works together to make fat burning faster, easier, and far more efficient. But there's one catch: if you try to fast while eating high-carb foods, you're going to struggle. The hunger, cravings, and crashes will feel unbearable. The fastest fat-burning version only works when you pair time-restricted eating with nutrient-dense foods that keep you full. That means healthy fats, proteins, minerals, and leafy greens. When you build meals with real nutrients, your body feels satisfied, your cravings drop, and your fasting window becomes effortless. This is why some people burn dangerous fat so quickly that their stomach visibly shrinks in just a couple of weeks. It's not magic, it's physiology. When insulin goes down, fat burning goes up. It's that simple. Let me give you a simple example of what your day could look like. You wake up and skip breakfast, not because you're forcing yourself, but because your body isn't hungry anymore. You drink water, electrolytes, maybe a black coffee or green tea. Around 100 p.m. you have your first meal, high protein, moderate fat, lots of vegetables. Then around 600 p.m. you have a second meal, maybe slightly lighter but still nutrient dense. And then that's it. No snacks, no late night food. You go into a 17-18 hour fast without even thinking about it. Your body spends the rest of the evening and night burning fat, repairing tissues, and lowering inflammation. By the next morning, you feel lighter, clearer, and surprisingly energized. Do this consistently just a few days, and your waistline starts changing. Do it for a few weeks, and the deeper, dangerous fat begins melting. The biggest reward for lowering this type of fat isn't just looking leaner. It's restoring metabolic health. You'll notice better sleep, a sharper brain, less bloating, stable blood sugars, lower stress hormones. You'll even see improvements in your skin and energy. Dangerous fat blocks all these systems. Remove it and everything starts working again. So if your goal is to burn fat fast, especially belly fat that's stubborn and dangerous, the #1 most effective method is time-restricted eating combined with nutrient-dense meals and zero snacking. It's simple, natural, and one of the most powerful tools we have to reverse years of slow metabolism. When you give your body time to fast, it finally has permission to release the fat it's been holding on to. If you stay consistent, even starting with a 14-hour fast and slowly increasing your window, you'll be shocked at how quickly your body changes. And the best part? It's not about eating less. It's about eating in a way that switches your body into fat-burning mode automatically. The fastest way to burn dangerous fat isn't what most people think it is. People assume the secret is fewer calories, harder workouts, or extreme diets. But the real breakthrough happens the moment you understand one simple factor: insulin. Insulin is the master storage hormone. It decides whether your body is in fat-burning mode or fat-storing mode. As long as insulin stays high, your body cannot access stored fat, especially the most dangerous kind of fat, visceral fat. This is the fat deep inside the abdomen, wrapped around your liver, kidneys, pancreas, and intestines. This fat is metabolically active, inflammatory, and extremely stubborn. Think of insulin as a switch. When it's up, fat burning stops. When it's down, your body becomes a fat burning machine. The problem is that most people live their entire lives with insulin constantly elevated. From the moment they wake up and grab that first bite of breakfast, to the snacks, to the frequent meals, to the late night eating, their insulin never has a chance to fall. Even healthy foods can raise insulin. A handful of nuts, a protein bar, fruit juice, a healthy smoothie, your body sees these as food events. And every food event triggers insulin. Most people don't realize they're eating 10-15 times a day without noticing. A little taste test while cooking, chewing gum with sugar, the creamer in their coffee, the ketchup on their lunch, every one of these keeps insulin from dropping. Your body never gets a moment to tap into stored fat. Yet they wonder why fat won't budge, why the belly stays large, why their liver enzymes are high, and why their waistline keeps expanding even when they don't eat that much. Dangerous fat forms when your insulin stays elevated for years. High insulin pushes excess sugar into the liver, and when the liver can't store any more, it starts turning that sugar into fat. That fat begins to surround your organs. It presses into your liver and makes it fatty. It restricts blood flow. It affects hormones. It slows your metabolism. And the more of this fat you accumulate, the harder it becomes to burn, because the hormonal environment keeps working against you. Now, here's the part most people never hear. Your body prefers burning visceral fat first, but only when insulin drops. This type of fat is easier for the body to reach during fasting. It's like the body's emergency fuel tank. So when you finally lower insulin, your body immediately goes after the deep belly fat that's been sitting there for years. That's why people suddenly lose inches around their midsection when their insulin finally comes down. You can eat healthy, exercise every day, and still not lose this fat if insulin stays high. This is why so many people say things like, I eat less but gain more, or my metabolism is broken. Their metabolism isn't broken, it's blocked. And the block is insulin. Fat storing is turned on. Fat burning is turned off, and unless something changes, the cycle continues. The key is understanding that lowering insulin isn't about eating tiny amounts of food. It's about eating less often. You could eat a nutrient-dense meal that's very satisfying, and if you give your body enough time afterward, insulin will drop and fat burning will switch on. But if you eat small, frequent meals, 6, 8, 10 food events a day, you never give insulin a chance to fall. This is why some people eat one large meal and lose more fat than someone who eats 6 tiny meals. It's not the calories, it's the hormonal response. Once you start allowing longer spaces between meals, your body begins accessing its stored fuel. And because visceral fat is easier to reach, you'll see changes there first. If you want to burn dangerous fat fast, the first thing you need to stop doing is snacking. Snacking is the #1 reason insulin stays high. Even if you snack on something small, even if it's low calorie, even if it's healthy, insulin reacts. By cutting out snacks, you create the first opening for your body to dip into stored fat. The next step is to reduce the refined carbs and sugars that drive insulin up the quickest. When you eat something like bread, cereal, juice, soda, pastries, pasta, or rice, your insulin spikes sharply. Every spike pushes you further into fat storage. Lowering these foods lowers the frequency and intensity of insulin rises. Within days of lowering insulin, people notice more energy, clearer thinking, less bloating, better digestion, and a reduction in appetite. They walk into the kitchen and suddenly realize they're not hungry. They stop thinking about food all day. That's the moment insulin drops, and that's the moment fat burning starts. Burning dangerous fat quickly is not about restriction. It's about allowing your body to finally do what it's designed to do. When insulin stays low, your body becomes incredibly efficient at burning stored fat. It taps into visceral fat first because that fat is metabolically active and easier to mobilize. You'll see your waistline shrink, your clothes loosen, and your face slim down, not slowly but surprisingly quickly. And the best part is that once insulin is controlled, fat loss becomes effortless. Your body works with you instead of fighting against you. You stop craving junk food, your mood improves, your energy levels stabilize, and your body finally unlocks the dangerous fat that's been stuck for years. Time-restricted eating or intermittent fasting is one of the most powerful tools for burning dangerous fat, but most people do it the wrong way. They think skipping breakfast alone is enough. They think fasting is about starving themselves or pushing through hunger. They think a 12-hour fast is the same as an 18 or 20-hour fast, and because of these misunderstandings, they never reach the true fat-burning state. Fat burning only happens when insulin stays low for a long enough window. Most people go to sleep with high insulin because they eat late. They wake up with high insulin because their liver has been dumping stored sugar throughout the night. They eat first thing in the morning, raising insulin again. Then they snack. Then they drink sugary beverages. Then they eat lunch. Then they snack again. Then they have dinner. Then they snack in the evening. In this cycle, insulin never truly drops. For time-restricted eating to burn dangerous fat quickly, you need a long enough fasting window for your insulin to fall below a certain threshold. That threshold is where your body begins switching into fat-burning mode, but if your fasting window is too short, you never reach that threshold. This is why some people do intermittent fasting for months and don't see results. They're fasting just enough to feel hungry, but not long enough to experience hormonal change. The magic starts happening around 16 hours. That's when insulin finally dips low enough for fat burning to turn on. At around 18 hours, the body starts tapping into deeper fat stores, including visceral fat. And at around 20 hours, something powerful happens. Autophagy increases, inflammation drops drastically, the liver begins cleansing itself, and the hormonal environment becomes ideal for burning dangerous belly fat rapidly. But here's the thing, you don't have to push to extreme fasting right away. You can start with 14 hours, then move to 16, then 18, then 20. Each step lowers insulin more, burns more fat, repairs more tissues, and reduces more inflammation. The key is consistency. Once your body adapts, fasting becomes incredibly easy. Your hunger fades, your cravings disappear, your stomach shrinks internally, and your body prefers fat as its fuel. Now let's talk about why visceral fat melts first. Visceral fat is highly sensitive to hormonal signals, especially fasting signals. When insulin drops, your body looks for the most accessible fuel. Visceral fat is far more accessible than subcutaneous fat. Think of subcutaneous fat as long-term storage and visceral fat as emergency storage. When fasting begins, your body goes to the emergency storage first. That's why people who do time-restricted eating consistently notice their belly shrinking before anything else changes. When you fast long enough, your body not only burns fat, it heals. It reduces fatty liver. It lowers triglycerides. It decreases the inflammatory chemicals produced by visceral fat. It resets insulin receptors. It improves metabolism so you can burn fat even while resting. This is why intermittent fasting is not just a fat loss tool, it's a metabolic repair tool. But let's be clear, if you combine fasting with snacking, you cancel the benefits. If you fast for 16 hours but snack repeatedly in your eating window, insulin stays high and fat burning stalls. If you fast but eat high-carb meals, your insulin will spike again and stop the fat burning process. This is why fasting works best when combined with nutrient-dense meals that keep insulin stable. When done right, fasting becomes a powerful rhythm your body thrives on. You eat, your insulin rises, you digest, it falls, then your fasting window begins and the hormonal shift kicks in. Day after day, your body becomes more efficient at burning stored fat. Your liver becomes cleaner, your blood sugar becomes stable, your belly becomes flatter, your energy becomes smoother, your appetite becomes quieter. This is why some people burn dangerous fat in a matter of weeks, not months. Time-restricted eating aligns your body with its natural metabolic rhythm, lowers insulin, and unlocks the fat that's been stuck for years. It's not a diet, it's not restriction, it's simply eating within a time frame that activates your body's most powerful fat-burning systems. You cannot burn dangerous fat quickly if your meals are nutrient poor. What you eat determines how easy or difficult your fasting window feels. The right foods make you full, stable, energized, and able to go long hours without hunger. The wrong foods make you crash, crave, binge, and fail. This is why nutrient density is everything when it comes to fast, sustainable fat loss. When you eat highly nutritious foods, foods rich in minerals, vitamins, amino acids, essential fats, and phytonutrients, your body feels satisfied. Your cells finally get what they need. Your hunger hormones calm down, your cravings shut off, your body becomes calm, and because you feel satisfied, your insulin stays controlled naturally. But when you eat nutrient-poor foods, refined carbs, sugars, processed snacks, low-quality fast food, your body remains hungry no matter how many calories you eat. Your cells are starving even while your stomach is full. You feel tired, moody, bloated, and unsatisfied. And because your body is still missing nutrients, it demands food more often. This drives your eating frequency up, which keeps insulin high, and the fat-burning switch never turns on. Nutrient-dense meals help you burn dangerous fat fast because they make fasting effortless. You're no longer battling your appetite. You're no longer forcing yourself not to eat. You simply don't feel hungry, and when you're not hungry, you naturally go longer without eating, which lowers insulin and accelerates fat burning. A nutrient-dense meal focuses on the following anchors: high-quality protein, healthy fats, and potassium-rich vegetables. Protein keeps you full longer, stabilizes your blood sugar, and supports muscle. Healthy fats give you sustained energy and stop cravings. Vegetables provide minerals, especially potassium and magnesium, which help regulate insulin, support cellular energy, and reduce stress on the body. When these elements are present in a meal, your body feels deeply nourished. This is why people who switch to nutrient-dense eating often say things like, "I barely think about food anymore," or "I'm full for hours," or "I can go 18 hours without even trying." Their insulin is stable, their blood sugar is smooth, their hormonal environment is calm, and because of this, they naturally fall into a fat-burning rhythm. The combination of nutrient-dense meals and longer fasting windows is the metabolic formula that melts dangerous fat quickly and consistently. When your meals are nourishing, your metabolism repairs itself, your liver cleans itself, your appetite normalizes. You stop overeating, you stop snacking, you stop craving sugary foods. And without even meaning to, you reduce your eating frequency. Once you do this, your insulin levels drop and the dangerous fat begins melting. People who rely on nutrient-poor foods often struggle with time-restricted eating because their blood sugar crashes. They feel weak, shaky, irritable, tired, or foggy. That's not fasting. That's unstable insulin. The right foods fix this. They help your body use fat as fuel instead of depending on sugar. They make fasting feel comfortable and natural. The result is a body that stays satisfied on fewer meals, burns fat efficiently, and begins shrinking the deep visceral fat around your organs. You feel lighter, clearer, calmer, and more in control. Dangerous fat disappears not because you're starving, but because your body is finally nutritionally supported enough to switch into fat burning mode. This is why nutrient density is essential. It's not a side detail, it's the foundation of rapid fat loss. When your meals nourish your body deeply, your hormones stabilize, your appetite shrinks, and your fasting window expands naturally. This combination, the right foods plus the right timing, is the fastest, safest, and most effective way to burn dangerous fat and keep it off for life.